What's up guys, this is ScherBR talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm making a full review for the kids banner. That is also called Romancing Festival Monika banner. That should actually be called Romancing Festival Thyme banner, because Thyme is the best character from this banner, because he actually supports the party for hard challenges and we don't have that many characters that work like him. While Monika is a damage dealer for remembrance with good support and dexterity buffs. Mikhail is another damage dealer for remembrance that can also be used somewhere else. He has a chase mechanic with very good sustain. Now let's start with Thyme. He is a club user and his status are well diverse. He does not have a very big focus on something. As you can see, 92% STR is not big. Well, he's not a damage dealer, you should kinda ignore his damage potential. His agility is 91%. This one is important because he's a buffer and he needs to go first. His skills are not fast, so you need to increase agility, even promote him, give him plus 16 if you want. Well, his dexterity is just good enough so that he can land hits. Endurance and will are just normal, nothing good. And love is a little above the 50s that you find in most characters. So he also heals. It's important to have big love. There's no other style of Thyme. You are seeing the only one that he has even on JP. In order to understand Thyme, let's talk about the skills first. The first one being Junk Grab. For free you have support skill that will give him 3 BP and heal his HP by around 180. The heal is not that important with getting 3 BP, it's important into his skill rotation. The second skill is called Call Rose, and for 8 BP you have a support skill, so no damage, that will grant all surviving allies guard up medium, decreasing all sorts of damage by 25% that lasts for 2 turns. And he will also buff all surviving allies, endurance, will, love and charisma by medium effect. That is up to 30% on max rank. If you don't want to manually level from rank 1 to rank 99, you will get only 25% value. That is already good enough, because on JP he is only a small buffer that is between 15% and 25% on max rank, so global buff made it much better. And in JP it costs 9 BP, here in global it's 8, making him much better on skill rotation. Since he gets 3 BP per turn normally, and you use Junk Grab, you actually get 9 BP every 3 turns. That means you always have 1 BP left, and I'll explain why this is important. Now the third skill is called Unkotaku Toolbox. For 8 BP, you have full AoE attack with C power that cleanses all surviving allies and will also grant morale up medium, increasing damage by 25% that lasts for 3 turns. Well, the damage here is bad, don't care about the damage. The cleanse effect can be used on emergency situations, although you hardly need. And the morale up effect, it's not that important right now in the game, because this one stacks with your character passives. So let's say you have around 60% damage passives, it also stacks with your weapon passives. Let's say you have a 100% weapon, that means you have around 160, then you add 25 to reach 185. So in the end it doesn't really translate in 25 increase in your final damage. It's usually between 15% or even less than that, depending on the character. So, it's not the best skill from the character. The best one is Call Rose, but you cannot use this all the time. Usually once every 2 turns, because Guard Up Medium lasts for 2 turns, exactly a very good skill. Now for passives, the first one is the Layered Heal Link. On the end of a turn, we have 25% chance to heal himself for 800 HP or something, and then another random surviving ally that can be even himself again for 1.8k heal, or anyone else. It's better when it's anyone else. It kind of helps him not need heal all the time, but he is kind of off resistance, so this is not that needed, it's just an extra. Then the second one is called Warring Wave 1. On the end of a turn, he has a 37% chance to buff all surviving allies OD Gauge by 15 points. And this is important to Thyme himself, because he is a character that uses OD as a mechanic, but more into the third skill called Soul of Friendship. First, When attacked, damage will be reduced by 25%. It's not as much as High Protect Tension 30, but it's pretty close, good enough. And on the end of a turn, he will also get 15 points of OD Gauge. Because after activating an OD attack, he will use a skill called Thyme Friends. And Thyme Friends is a full AoE attack with B power, blunt and slash damage. Forget about the damage, it's not important, but it will recover all surviving allies by around 800 or more and buff their resistance to status elements by medium effect. Good thing is that this is a different type of buff to resist ailments. You have his will buff that will increase the resistance, and now you have an extra buff to increase it even further. Now, one important thing about Thyme is that you need to use an attack during overdrive in order to activate Thyme's friends. So you cannot use Junk Grab or Cow Rose because those are support skills. They will be much better to use because you will just keep up with the best rotation. But instead, you have to use either a normal attack or Uncle Taco to box in order to trigger Thyme Friends. You don't want to use Uncle Taco to box because it's just too costly and it will break his cycle of keeping guard up medium on the party. So, I think the best scenario is to start the fight, use Cow Rose, then Junk Grab, then back to Cow Rose and only use Overdrive by turn 4, where you'll be using a normal attack. And then, the next turn you go back to Cow Rose, Junk Grab, same cycle. And when you are very close to killing a boss, then you can use Uncle Taco to box to increase the damage of your party a little more and try to kill on that specific turn. So, even if he can get to Overdrive in 2 turns, the best way is to still use Cow Rose by turn 4. Sadly, but still works because you are buffing your party with guard up and older status, meaning that you receive less damage. And most of the time, Thyme won't be your main healer anyway. And it's also time to compare Thyme with older styles. The closest comparison is Mask, because Mask will also heal on Overdrive. Mask is different. He's a tank that can protect the party with his passive. And when you inherit Great Adventure from his Gunner style, he can count 3 times. That means that if a boss has multiple single target attacks, Father will take most of them and receive very low damage. But this doesn't happen all the time. Some bosses prefer to use big AoE nukes. In these scenarios, Father still has something. You can cover someone, but even then I don't know if this is so useful because if he is covering only one person, that means you still need to heal the others on the next turn. So in these scenarios, I believe that Thyme replaces Mask almost entirely if your enemy is using only big AoE nukes. And Thyme will also buff and has the ailment resistance and guard up, something that Mask doesn't have. He's protecting the whole party instead of choosing someone to protect. But you can still use both together because Thyme has a chance to buff OD, and like I said, Thyme won't be your main healer if you are on a very hard challenge. Then who is the second healer? Usually it will be Rag Robin, because Rag Robin is the best healer in the game right now. And let's say you want to use Steel Blade Phoenix on turn 2, for example, Thyme can heal on turn 4. There's another difference between them. Rag Robin attacks with delay, so you can kind of plan ahead, and if you know your boss is going to do damage but not kill your characters, you will use Steel Blade Phoenix on the end of a turn. And then when you need a heal instantly, you're going to use Thyme because he heals on the start of the turn. And using Thyme and Polka together means that you have higher love and charisma, and the heals for each other will be higher. And usually we'll be bringing Matriarch as well, another staple character on hard challenges. And she has Paean of Peace that buffs Dexterity, Will, Love, and Charisma. So Love and Charisma will be stacked to very high levels. She's the main buffer in the game. So let's say you start with Paean of Peace, you have multiple stacks of Love and Charisma, and then you have 2 other stacks from Thyme. The heal from all them will be better. She can even heal with her style number 4 as well, with Paean of Protection. So, well, you are covered for all sorts of need of heal. Then, well, Other characters that Thyme will impact are, for example, Diana. Diana Global X style was released and she was helpful in the egg fight, and I used her on the Global X challenges. She has Prayer for Peace. This is an APP skill that cleanses, heals a very small amount of HP, and buffs endurance and will by 25%. Okay, so the endurance and will buff are higher. We don't need her anymore for this. But we are losing the heal effect, right? Not exactly. When you are buffing love and charisma, that means that your main healer will be healing for more. And if you have, for example, Polka in the party, that means that Diana is not needed. Thyme can also cleanse, and most of the time you won't even need to cleanse since the character will be buffing ailment resistance with overdrive. But this is just like I said, an extra, once every 4 turns, is not something really huge. Now, we also use different buffers besides the ones I mentioned. The first one of them, let's talk about Nawal's. Nawal's daughter is still relevant in the game, especially if you have the Halloween version and you inherit the Water Festival skill. This is nice because it buffs 1 BP to the party, buffs all different status, although you may not need all of them. Usually you want endurance and you buff love and charisma, and either STR, either agility or dexterity, or if you are using a martial artist, STR and agility are both needed. But sometimes you have 1 or 2 or 3 status that are kind of wasted, right? But the good thing is that she applies defensible stance that lasts for 4 turns and decreases damage by 15%. And this one stacks with guard up, so they can be used together just fine. And it will be even a very good combination, since you'll be buffing endurance and will multiple times. Now, another character that we also use is iToken. iToken is very offensive, and you can use him together as well. He does not clash. You have a buff to STR, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Love. If you need extra damage, maybe to, well, kill a boss before a specific turn where it becomes dangerous, we may still use iToken. iToken or even Cindy. They are interchangeable. Cindy, if you are using Leon, she may be even better than iToken. Another good support is Goddess. She can apply Guard Up and Morale Down, but we have Guard Up small here. It will clash with Thyme, so in the end, Thyme affects more the performance of Goddess than anything else. So if you are bringing him, you cannot bring Goddess, but you can bring all the other supports I mentioned to different levels of effects. I believe that it's always good to have 2 buffers at least, and the other 2 supports can be one for defense, the 4th one can be a healer, and then the number 5 will be your main damage dealer. And this is how you will use Thyme in hard challenges. I must say that he is a very good character and will receive a SSS grade as one of the best characters for hard challenges moving forward. And the next character is Monika, and she is now a bow user, and this is actually nice because she still uses Dexterity as the main status. That means that you can use any of her past versions and inherit the bow skills without losing anything. This time she is a healer and damage dealer, while the last 2 versions were different. This one was kind of a support damage dealer for farming, and the other past version was all about debuffing and scaling damage. This time, we have a remembrance specialist that will help the party, increasing the damage and healing. Now for passes, we have Energy Wall Tree. When attacked, she has a 25% chance to reduce damage by 100%, but it will trigger with each different attack. And also 25% chance to recover 3 BP. This is nice because it will allow her to get better cycling, but you should not care too much, in my opinion. Use it as an extra because she's not that good defensively. 60% endurance, 70% wills is not that high. The third one is called Transmission Tree. On the start of a turn, she has a 25% chance to buff all surviving allies Dexterity and Charisma by 20%. We saw transmission buffs in the past. They are nice, but on average, you will have triggered this only once every 4 turns. Then the third one is called High Protect Tension, decreasing all damage by 30% and increasing her damage output by 20%. As you can see, this is the only damage passive, and it's not big enough for farming. Although she does have a very strong attack, you can usually actually inherit this and use in other styles. Well, for skills we have Pure Flower. For 3 BP and 1 LP, you can heal someone and also apply an attack boost of 15% damage increase that lasts for 2 turns. This is not that important, the heal effect is, and she's a bow user. We hardly have bow users that can heal. Liz can heal, but you may have missed her. Then the second skill is called Pretty Hard. For 5 BP, you have a single target attack with B power and 26 mod, very close to 8. Damage is not that bad, from the skill itself at least. And you have a chance to debuff STR by 15% on max level. Her intelligence is not that high, she'll be missing if you are using her on very hard challenge. And then we have a medium chance to apply Charm. This is much better. Her charisma is pretty high and it's medium chance. This is useful in the future when we fight against a remembrance battle, where there are 2 additional enemies that can be either charmed or confused, and you need to apply those effects or else they will kill you pretty fast. So we do have other attacks that have charm with bow users, like for example, Therese and Claudia has access to Heartseeker Plus that has also medium chance. That's not that different, but you can bring 2 and apply this, or you can apply Confusion, for example. Then the third skill is called Bloom Rain. For 8 BP, you have a column attack with double S power that hits for Pierce and Sun. The nice thing here is the Sun part, because it's pretty rare, and it will also buff all surviving allies' dexterity and charisma by up to 25% on max level, and recover a little HP. That should be around close to 200. So, buffing dexterity to increase damage, buffing charisma to heal more, and also buffing charisma will allow her to charm better if you really need that, but will be locked into remembrance battle. This character was made for that. The good thing is that you can inherit Bloom Rain to do more damage with other versions of her. For example, they are rerunning a banner with this version of Monika here called A New Journey Begins. This starts with 12 BP and gets 1 BP by the end of the turn, having also 40% damage passives in a similar dexterity, but you can inherit Bloom Rain and use it 2 times in a row with this version of Monika. So it will be pretty nice for farming when you have an event with 2 waves and the enemies are weak to either Sun or Pierce. She will be able to solo. And the good thing about this Monika is that after 2 uses, you can use every 2 turns as well, buffing dexterity and healing the party. She also has a heal by the support skill called Present of Pleasure, but well, this one uses LP, can be used all the time, and it's not as useful in Remembrance Battle when compared to Bloom Rain. So if you have that version of Monika and you get this one, you have now a character that works in 2 different Remembrance Battles. One for bows, other one for rapiers. But now, what's the good thing? Bows and rapiers are usually the hardest weapons to make squads on Remembrance. Besides, the only other use of Bloom Rain will be for farming. This Monika is just too much of a specialist, very nice to have, not exactly mandatory. You'll be receiving a low SS grade in our tier list. This Monika, it's a specialist and has some limited usage, but it's very good when used correctly. You'll be receiving a SS grade in our tier list. As an extra, there is yet another keyed version of Monika that uses bows in the future. This one is more of a damage dealer with support. She has a 0 BP attack that buffs dexterity. She has a 5 BP AoE attack that buffs dexterity to the squad. And she also has a fast attack with 13 BP. And another good thing, she buffs bow damage to the squad by 15% and gets 5 BP per turn when attacking weak targets. That will happen all the time on Remembrance battles, and she can also inherit the same attack that heals, do damage, and buffs the party. And the last character is Mikhail. We have a focus on dexterity and agility. 117% dexterity is the highest dexterity we have right now, and 110% agility is the highest agility for any rapier user we have. His endurance and will are not that bad, could have been worse, but he does not have any damage reduction passive. There is some risk while using Mikhail, but it's actually a very interesting design. Well, the first passive is called Hardy Stance 4. When he's on full HP, he will increase damage by 20% and has 50% chance to evade the enemy attacks. That's pretty cool, because he will be on full HP most of the time. The second skill is called Noble Traditions. Attack damage increased by 20% at all times, and then when he's not on full HP, he will chase with an attack called Healing Pierce, that we'll talk more about later. Then we have Great Robust Tension, increasing damage at all time by 30% and getting 15% extra when you are on full HP. So what do we have? 50% at all times and 85% when on full HP. This is actually pretty nice. He can work well on farming because of so much damage passives. Then let's talk about the skills. The first one is Healing Pierce. For 2 BP you have a single target attack that has delay and C power with 18 mod. It's direct, so it can be countered, but heals around 800 HP with some good damage. So the problem is the delay effect, right? So you have to time out the usage of the skill well. But also no. First of all, when he's not on full HP, this is the same skill that he's going to use. So you can use a normal attack with his very high agility. He's going to do damage and then chase the normal attack with Healing Pierce, healing himself for at least 800. So it will depend. Let's say that you know that you're going to take plenty of damage on that turn, let's say more than 1000, and you know that you won't die. Then you use Healing Pierce and he's going to chase again with Healing Pierce. That means 800 plus 800 heal would be very high. But most of the time, you will not need to use this, because if you are using Matriarch with Pin of Peace to buff Dexterity, Love, and Charisma, or even Thyme now that also buff Love and Charisma, just one stack of his Healing Pierce will be increased to at least 1.2k healing, and that will be enough most of the time. But since he does not have any damage reduction passive, you have to be a little more careful. But healing every turn, it's a countermeasure to compensate the risk. Now, the second skill is called Stingray Plus. For 5 VP, you have a full AoE attack with C power. That is actually close to B, and can be used 3 times in a row for farming. You can't solo with this, not even close. But maybe 2 Stingray Plus users with good damage passives will be able to farm Story, for example. Just place them all on the Deadly Pierce Axe formation and the damage will be enough most of the time. Then the third skill is called Lightning Line. For 10 BP you have a fast attack, this is important, that hits for column with Pierce and Lightning. Lightning attacks are pretty rare in the game, and after he attacks he grants himself evasion for 1 turn and only 1 hit. Kinda like the shield from Matriarch number 4, but well, 10 BP cost is kinda high. He cannot keep using this forever. So can be used for farming. That's nice. If there's only 1 wave with enemies aligning in a column, I don't know if he will be able to solo all the time, but sometimes yes. Many events you have enemies on the first wave and then a boss on the second, he will still be able to use Healing Pierce to help out a little on the boss stage. But it also works on the Real Queen Remembrance. I believe most people already cleared that. But the evasion effect, it's just helps to keep him with his full HP to do more damage. But as soon as he gets to lower than full, he's just going to heal back and stay there. So I believe that this mechanic is actually pretty interesting, since in some boss fights attacks are plenty and then he will never be on full HP, but he gets back to full HP as soon as he attacks. That means that the best inheritance will come from the Global Axe style. Quadruple Pierce, it's a 9 BP attack that has E power that it's actually 4S damage when you consider the 4 hits, and each hit will also recover a very small effect. That should be around 170s with his status. But, well, the interesting fact is that if you have even 1 BP less than the full HP, he will attack with Quadruple Pierce, but will still chase with Healing Pierce. That means that you have yet another mechanic to heal but do big damage. Just remember that Quadruple Pierce also has delay, so you have to time out this pretty well. But Quadruple Pierce is nice because by giving him delay as well means that if he was on full HP, he will attack after the boss will hit him, and that means that he will always trigger the heal effect, healing 2 times. Like I said, he will heal for at least 1.6k by use of quadruple pierce with the chase of the healing pierce attack. Now, the other interesting inheritances comes from the first limited style. You have Light Speed Plus. For 4 BP you do damage and buff agility. Remember that his agility is pretty massive with 110%. You're going to evade pretty soon, and you will also be chasing with the heal attack. So double hits for only 4 BP most of the time. So pretty nice. Besides, you can also inherit from his last premium style, All Charge. That is a full AoE attack with Pierce and Slash, 8 power, and has 2 different effects. Morale down medium, decreasing damage from the enemies by 25% but for only 1 turn, but gives also morale up, increasing damage by 40% for 1 turn. It's actually a risky attack that is used on overdrive to increase the damage potential of your party to kill the boss in that turn or the next one. So also an interesting effect. Well, this Mikhail is good. He comes close to being really useful even on hard challenges, but I must say that his design is still gathered around remembrance battles, where he will be a very useful character there. Mikhail won't beat Chooser or Dark in pretty long fights for pierce damage, but he can be used as an alternative. Because of the chase mechanic with the heal effect, he actually has something extra that differs from those 2 units. And because of that, he has more utility than Monika when you think about how much you can take from the character. Because of this, he will receive an SS plus grade in our tier list. But as a whole, he's not exactly a needed character, and if you already have Chooser, Dark, you can clear content with them just fine. And one last thing, this is the latest version of Mikhail in JP as well. That means that even if he gets the next one, it will take quite some time unless they release yet another Global X. Now, is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, yes, because of Thyme. Especially if you like hard challenges, or if you are a veteran, or if you don't have all buffers and support units in the game, Thyme can cover for many characters that you have skipped. So this alone gives plenty of value to the banner. The only thing holding this banner a little is that Monika and Mikhail were designed more towards remembrance battles than general content, so these characters will have a little more restricted usage than some other banners. Hence why I'll be giving a Silver Plus award for all types of players, and those that can take even more benefit of Thyme. You can skip Monika and Mikhail if you want, they can be replaced in the future, but Thyme is unique. He is the best of the bunch. With all that said, this is my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you want to support the channel, there are links in the description. And don't forget to join our Discord server, where we talk about SaGa and other games in general. Hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye.